Hey there, and welcome! If you're into art, printmaking, or just curious about how block prints come to life, you're in the right place. Today I'm walking you through the three main phases of creating a block print or lino cut image, from the very first sketch to the final press. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your technique, this video will help you get clearer pictures of the entire process. So before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more art content like this, from tutorials to behind the scenes peeks. And if you want early access or exclusive videos and even limited edition merch 4 times a year, please do check out my Patreon. It really helps support the channel and it keeps these kind of videos coming. Alright, let's get started. Welcome back to another Butcher Shop. So, a couple of weeks ago I made this weird subconscious decision to dive into a completely different form of art. Mostly this was because I was enjoying a couple of weeks off, but I still wanted to be creative and make art while I was at it. So instead of doing what I always do, I picked up something entirely new and allowed myself to sink my teeth into a technique that I hadn't really used before. AKA, my new obsession with block printing was born. Block printing happens in at least 3 phases. Of course, it could be many more if you print in multiple colors, but for now, let's stick to the basics. So phase 1 is all about planning and sketching your design. And this part is a bit of a mental shift, because most of us are used to thinking in full color images, right? With block printing though, it is all about what's there and what is not. So we are thinking in a form of positive and negative spaces. You're not shading with color, you are carving away everything that won't hold your ink. So instead of adding, you're subtracting. And that really took me a while to click for me. Now, personally, I like working with clean outlines, and this is also exactly the reason why you see me drawing just a normal picture without any form of shading. It's just a line art picture. I haven't really quite wrapped my head around the whole cross-hatching techniques yet. It's amazing to look at and the results are absolutely stunning, but it's a little complex when you're starting out. Not even necessarily when you start carving, but also in the drawing phase of things. A friend of mine is actually really good at that. Her name is Robin Roosendaal, and definitely check out her YouTube channel because she is also posting a lot of art tutorials, art videos, and she makes a lot of etches, with the metal plates and the sharp pens and everything. She is absolutely fantastic in working with cross hatches. So if that's what you're more interested in, go check her out. If not, I'm sorry, I still have to learn that technique. But yeah, so for now I'm just working with outline pictures. Simply because outlines give you a form of clarity, really. They let you define shapes in ways that are pretty easy to, first of all, illustrate, and then second of all, to carve into the lino and still be pretty visually striking once it's printed. Also, paper choice really matters at this stage. This time around, I did this entire sketch on a really thick piece of drawing paper. Because I thought it looked fancy, which it does, but it wasn't really my best friend, because I found out that the paper wouldn't transfer properly when using carbon paper. So I guess I learned my lesson there, because I had to redraw this whole thing twice. You want paper that's thin enough to transfer cleanly, but still holds your sketch without smudging. Spoiler alert, a piece of simple printing paper really does the trick. So why make it fancy if the standard does the job, right? So once you're happy with your sketch, you'll need to transfer it to your lino block. You can use carbon paper, or you can shade the back of your sketch with graphite and then trace over it to leave a sort of faint image on the lino. Keep in mind though, your image will be reversed once it's printed. So if you include any text or directional elements, be sure to mirror it before you transfer it. So basically, when you make the illustration, when you make the drawing, be sure that it's flipped. Take your time here. This is going to be the blueprint for everything that comes after. So really, like, I had to do this thing twice, and I'm happy I did. Because it's just better. Even though it sucks that I had to do it twice, even though I really wasn't happy with the fact that my paper didn't transfer, it actually gave me an opportunity to tweak that face a little bit more. I wasn't really too happy with it. So you can clearly see the difference between the first iteration and the second iteration. The eyes are a bit further apart, they're a little bit more almond shaped, and because of that, this creature just generally looks a little bit more kind than the first one. So yeah, again, take your time. This is your blueprint. Do whatever you have to do to make or to start your perfection right here. So, phase 2 is where the real magic and hard work happens. We are carving our lino block. And there are a couple of different types of linoleum you might want to try out to work with. First off, there is the hard lino, which is the more traditional form of it. It is very durable and it holds fine detail really well. The negative side of that stuff is that it takes a lot more pressure to carve and later on to print as well. Because this is the type of linoleum where an actual press roller would really come in handy. Those are, however, pretty expensive, so if you're just starting out, it makes total sense if you don't have one yet. Spoiler alert, I don't have one either. My husband is making a wooden press though as we speak. It is a contraption, there's really no other word for it, that uses leverage to apply pressure over two wooden plates. It's quite a nifty construction really, and I think it's one of the cheaper forms to do this, but if you don't have one of those either, it's not really a problem. You could always just use a Baron to print your work, but we'll go into that more in phase 3. Another thing you will notice with the hard lino is that it'll cost you a lot more effort to cut it. If you're not used to that, your hands will let you know the next day. I felt like I was a 70-year-old granny with arthritis the day after I finished carving this piece of lino. It is that hard. I'm pretty sure that, the sharpness of your blade is very important, which, it makes total sense that it is. These knives were brand new. They were sharp as hell. And my fingers really hurt next day. Just, for being cramped up and holding the plate down. Yes, there are tools that you can use for that. There are jigs that you can put your lino in so that you won't push it away. I don't have any of that yet, so again, this is just me starting out, and basically I'm trying to teach you how to avoid the same mistakes that I'm making right here. There are many ways to make life easier on yourself. If you don't care much for that, if you just want to get started, if you want it to be cheap and quick and just have fun, this is the way to do it. Just hold down your lino, but just know that your fingers might not be too happy about that. In any case, so the second type of lino is the soft lino, which is a lot more flexible, and it's not a bit easier to work with, it's a hell of a lot easier to work with. It feels more like rubber than it feels like actual linoleum. And they say it is more for beginners. I don't personally believe that. Again, I am not an expert, but it's a completely different way of working with it. The soft linos feel more like stamps rather than something. I'm not quite sure how to explain this. They just work differently, and it's just easier to cut. I mean, sure, from that perspective, it could be for beginners. Yes, creating detail in soft lino is different. Again, it's not easier or more difficult. It's different. Is it easier on your hands? 100%. So yeah, it's a great option if you just want to get a feel for the tools, or if you want to treat your block more like a stamp. Also, I guess that it's, you know what, maybe it does have something to do with the amount of details in your pictures. I can totally understand that if you work with really tiny details, the hard lino is just better because it won't break off, and the soft lino will tear a little bit more easy. So there are two different ways of coming to the same result, I guess, in the end. Try them out both and see what works for you and for what you want to make in that, in that moment. Speaking of tools though, you see me changing the blade of my carving tool pretty often. And there are, that's because there are a few different carving blades to choose from. There's V-cuts, which are perfect for fine lines and detail works, and there's U-cuts. So the blades are either shaped like a V with a really a hard edge on the bottom, or they are shaped like a U, which is more round. So it'll allow you to remove broader areas, which is basically what you'll do at the very end when you start carving away all the space that you just don't need. So V for details, U for, broader areas. There are even some sets out there with specialty tips for texture or background removal. Just experiment a little bit with what suits your design and, of course, the pressure that you need to apply best. Oh, and a very quick tip, always carve away from your hands. I know it's very tempting to just angle the block and keep working fast, but the last thing you want is a slip blade and a nasty cut. So safety first, people. Seriously. Carving can be very time consuming and hard on your hands, so really take breaks. I've had sessions where I just got into a groove and 2 hours later my fingers were totally cramped up. Take your breaks, shake it out. Your hands will thank you. And lastly, don't worry if your cuts aren't perfect, because part of the beauty of block printing is the tiny imperfections, the little quirks that make your final piece feel handmade and expressive and unique. It's really, block printing is really not about perfection. It's about tiny imperfections, really. There's no other way of saying it. Sometimes you have these little artifacts around your object. They are exactly what create this sort of warmth around your image. So again, if it's not perfect, it's totally fine. Just continue working with it, you can always go back into your lino plate and remove these parts where you see the little artifacting happening. This is about relaxing, this is about creating fun art, and just exploring the material, really. And I think that's what I love about lino, is that it's very forgiving. It's a very forgiving material. So yeah, it's the frack around and find out kind of art, which I love. Phase 3 is all about the big reveal. It is about pressing your block print. Start by using a brayer or ink roller to spread an even layer of block printing ink across your carved linoleum. You'll want to roll until the surface has a smooth, almost velvety texture, not too thick and not too thin. Then carefully layer paper or textile onto the ink block. You can use a baron or even a wooden spoon or even your hands to press down the paper evenly. If you're printing on fabric, make sure to use fabric-safe ink and press more firmly, or even consider using a heat press depending on your setup. Peel back the paper slowly and voila! Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to support the channel. Don't forget to check out my Patreon for more in-depth tutorials, early releases and exclusive merch you won't find anywhere else. So, happy printing, and we'll all see you in the next video. Bye bye, guys.
See you.